haven't failed yet, but you already feel ashamed, as if the fall were inevitable and the bruise already formed. You haven't been rejected, but your mind replays imaginary goodbyes, rehearsing heartbreak that hasn't happened. You haven't lost anything, but the fear of losing wraps around you like a fog, blinding you to what's still here. You suffer in advance, and that, Epicurus would say, is your true prison, not the pain itself, but the shadow of pain, the forecast, the echo of suffering imagined before the storm even forms. Epicurus lived in a world filled with fear of death, of gods, of fate, of the unknown, and he dared to say, "We are tormented not by reality, but by projection." The fear of what might be becomes heavier than what actually is. You wake up anxious, not because today hurts, but because tomorrow might. You scroll through futures like horror trailers, watching your downfall frame by frame. And yet, here you are, breathing, whole, safe, in this very moment, untouched. But your mind refuses peace. It insists on panic. It believes that being prepared means being afraid. Epicurus taught that the art of happiness isn't found in control, but in presence, not in the illusion of securing every outcome, but in embracing the now, fragile and enough. You check your phone not for joy, but for warnings. You overthink conversations, not for clarity, but for defense. You call it caution, but it's torment. You call it preparation, but it's self-inflicted harm. Anxiety is a kind of loyalty to imagined pain, a contract we sign with suffering before it ever knocks. And the cruel irony, most of what we fear never happens. The rejection we dreaded was never sent. The failure we rehearsed never occurred. The loss we mourned was just a shadow. Epicurus would whisper, "Do not let the future steal what the present still offers." Yet we do, constantly. We abandon the meal in front of us for fear the next one might not come. We ruin friendships by anticipating betrayal. We stifle joy because it feels unsafe to be fully open. We suffer not because life is cruel, but because our imagination is relentless. Epicurus taught his students to seek ataraxia, inner stillness, tranquility of the soul, and the first enemy of peace is the mind projecting chaos. He didn't say pain isn't real, but he knew most pain is multiplied by thought. Pain exists in the now, but suffering is time travel. It pulls you backward into regrets or forward into panic, and it robs you of this breath. We ask, what if it all goes wrong? But Epicurus would ask, what if this moment is already enough? What if joy is not in what might happen, but in what's already here? You're not behind. You're not broken. You're just distracted from what's real. You've been tricked into thinking peace is earned through fear, but peace is found in letting go of what hasn't happened. You can't control tomorrow, you were never meant to, but you can live today completely, wildly, vulnerably, as it is. Let the present be heavy. Let it be real. Let it breathe without apology. You don't need to outrun the storm. You need to realize most storms live only in your head. Epicurus would tell you, death is nothing to fear, not because it's irrelevant, but because it's not now. And anything that is not now is not yours to suffer yet. Imagine what life could be if your fear clocked out, even for a day. Imagine laughter without guilt, silence without panic, stillness without shame. You don't need more certainty. You need more courage to sit in the uncertain and still be whole, to sip coffee without forecasting endings, to say I love you without negotiating escape routes, to dream without disqualifying yourself in advance. Stop rehearsing pain that doesn't exist. Stop punishing yourself for ghosts. The future is not your enemy. Your obsession with it is. You weren't built for omniscience. You were built for breath. Epicurus didn't promise happiness without pain. He promised clarity beyond unnecessary suffering. And much of what you feel isn't survival. It's habit. So break the habit of fear, break the loop of imagined suffering. Be here, not ahead, not behind, just here. The present is not perfect, but it's real. And it's where all joy lives. You suffer in advance. But you can also choose to live in advance, not waiting for permission, not waiting for safety, just choosing presence. Epicurus would smile, not from denial, but from wisdom. If you can enjoy this moment, you already have more than most. So breathe, blink, stretch, smile, even if quietly. You are not late, you are not lacking, you are simply not here yet. And when you do arrive, in this very breath, the suffering ends and life begins again.